Welcome to the Stridecast. This is Cav. I'm here with a man that locally where he lives. Sorry, what are you in front of right now? The Met. So he's not.
I
He's
just
not.
didn't want anyone to see my dirty office. So
Yeah, there you go. He's not actually in New York City, but my dear friend from Kamloops, BC, Dino Bernardo. Dino Bernardo of how do I put this? So if you are Dino has this. I've always referred to Dino as being the honorary mayor of Kamloops. So it's like if you get to Kamloops, you've spent time there. If you're living there, or you have friends there, some way or another, you're gonna come across Dino. Is that fair to say so far?
yeah, it's good for my ego. Yeah, but
um, so Dino, big member of the community in Kamloops, has been for most of his life. All of your life?
yeah. We moved here when I was 3, so I don't really remember where I came from. Other
Where were you
than
before 3?
I was born in McBride, and then my dad. I have 3 older sisters, and my oldest sister wanted to go to university, which at the time was Caribou College in Kamloops.
Okay.
Dad thought I have 3 more kids, so we might as well move the whole family there, and then they can all go to university there. And then, ironically, I'm the only one that finished school here.
That's awesome. So Dino, Commodore Grand Cafe and Ballroom.
Commodore Grand Cafe and Lounge. You don't want to get confused with the ballroom and band.
Cafe, lounge, ballroom. Spoken like a city guy. My bad. Yeah.
Okay.
And lounge. Coolest place to have a drink and have a good meal and hang out in Kamloops. I think hands down. I can attest to that because I lived in Kamloops and spent a lot of time there. Him and his partner Chris, and then cannabis retail, an essential service.
Yeah, we
new to the game, yes.
Yeah, just opened Fiore Fresco Cannabis with my business partner Chris Monteleone, and then we have a third partner named Justin Gazzetto. So for those that don't know what Fiore Fresco is, it's fresh flowers in Italian. So the 3 of us with our Italian background, that's why we chose that name, and it really, I don't know, I think it pops, has a really good name and really good logo.
Yeah, it's got a great name. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
Dino, lots on your plate as always. You're a community guy. You've always got your hand in charity and fundraising. I just forgot that I'm not wearing a hat. Look at my hair. Hope you all enjoyed that for the first few minutes because there it goes. Yeah, you're a busy guy. Community. You were involved. Kamloops Broncos Football Club, which is you're wearing a zip up, right? Or you've got the golf shirt.
No, golf shirt for the TRU soccer team.
And so now you're involved with the TRU soccer team, previously with the football team in Kamloops, and then the 2 businesses. Of course, you've got family and other things going on. Dino, please add anything about yourself that I may have missed that you want to share. And then I think what I'd really like to spend some time with you doing today is getting some insight as to how it is that you manage all that, like at a time, generally speaking, and then certainly at a time like this.
Yeah, 2 things that you're missing that you probably didn't know is that I'm the president of the Downtown Business Association in Kamloops. So that's I've been doing that for I think about 3 years now, and it's been fantastic to see how our organization has stepped up to help local business in Kamloops. Our executive director Carl DeSantis and his team have done a great job of just getting information out to all the downtown businesses. It's a bit of a ghost town downtown, and the ones that are open, are doing a great job. I commend some of the restaurants that have made a go of this, and I try and support them as much as possible. But yeah, like there's a webinar tomorrow on just how to cope and evolve and change your business to work in today's COVID world. And that's a fantastic resource for not only downtown businesses, but I think other businesses in Kamloops can learn from what, the work Carl and his team are doing.
Right.
Also, I'm a member of the Royal Inland Hospital Foundation and campaign team. So that's near and dear to my heart because of what's going on right now. And it's going to be hard for, our job is to help fundraise for the hospital, and
right.
It's going to be hard where, people aren't having income coming in, but I think it's important that we all, try and make an effort to work. And if we are going to donate right now, we have to keep up with the charities that are going to need it. And the RH Foundation, for me, having 2 elderly parents is super near and dear to my heart because, my mom spent, 6 weeks in the hospital last year. My dad spent, almost 2 months with a stroke this year in the hospital. So it's just seeing the level of care that they get at this hospital in Kamloops is second to none, and the staff and the work that they do there needs to get the help that they can by us fundraising for them.
That's incredible. Do you know, how do people that are viewing, can you give me or maybe you can just verbalize, like, if people that want to donate, is there a website? Is there,
Yeah,
how do they?
if they just go to the RIH Foundation webpage, there's different ways. Heidi Coleman and her team there, they have different ways that you can make donations. We're doing a campaign because we're getting a new building, and it's started building 2 years ago, and then it'll be done in 2022. But we're in the quiet phase of receiving donations for that. But that'll hopefully, once this COVID is done, we were planning on launching open campaign, and that'll probably happen closer to the fall, but who knows in this world right now if that is still going to be
Sure. Yeah, one of the uncertainties. Yeah, good on you. You're right, I didn't know that about you. I didn't know the Downtown Business Association. I should have probably assumed
Yeah.
that you'd be that would be sort of a part of where you'd want to be involved or help the greater community. So good on you, man. That's super exciting. And good on you guys for getting creative and finding ways, like you said, webinar, looking at ways of, helping business owners and people broadly navigating their way through this period, and hopefully still being able to find ways through collaborating with ideas to keep their business, up and running. And prepared for the day that we all sort of are holding our breath waiting for, which is when things go back to being somewhat more recognizable than they have been. So yeah, good on you for having a hand in that. So Dino, tell me, I had only named, obviously your businesses, and then of course you're involved with the foundation as well as, the business association. Talk to me about how it is that how are you managing those days? Like, how are they different now, and how are you tackling them differently?
It's a lot of Zoom meetings. A lot of meetings were canceled. It's weird being someone that always has something to do to go to not having anything to do, and trying to find ways to keep yourself busy and keep your mind sharp and to work on that. Ideally, we didn't want to open a business during a pandemic, but we were basically kind of put on the essential services list, and we were paying rent on a location for almost 2 years and not making any money. So it was, if we can just make rent and get open and cover our bills, and actually it's the one thing that's kind of keeping me sane is the three of us go to work, and it's that period of time that it's like, okay, I get to have some social interaction.
Yeah.
Social distancing though, but we're behind a counter and you're just trying to talk to people and keep your distance and just, but well, you and I are social butterflies. Like, we find a way to hang out in a group no matter what we're doing in life.
I think people want to be around us, and we have no choice. I mean, there's a part of us that sure,
Yeah, but it's so hard to not, golf season's starting. We're not golfing, and it's funny that the group of guys that I golf with, you think that they would be like, oh, let's go out and golf, we can work around it or whatever it is, and they're like, no, we understand how important this is for us to social distance, so we all.
Right.
I haven't played video games in 15 years, but we got Xboxes and we're playing golf.
Xbox. Did you
camaraderie? Yeah.
Did you find one?
Yeah, I got one last night. So
nice.
So
there you go.
Those are the things, and those are the ways that we're adapting to keep that keep that sanity. Like, you need that ability to talk to someone, and that's the biggest thing through all of this is that you got your group chats and you got your Zoom calls and stuff like that. But what I'm loving is that you got friends reaching out to people, being like, hey man, how are you doing? Are you okay? Are you, is your mental health all right? Because I know, I've got friends that are like, man, I can't believe you're Friday, Saturday night. I've been bartending for the last 20 years.
Yeah, that's right.
That to have people reach out to me and just be like, hey man, are you okay? What are you doing with your nights? And says, well, I'm cooking a lot more at home. I'm doing all these different things that I never did. I'm working out at home. I'm just doing all these different things to keep my mind occupied and keep myself busy. And my house has never been cleaner outside of my office, hence why I'm hiding it in here. But yeah, we're just trying to get through this, and whenever that day comes, I think we're all going to be better off for it, and we're all going to be grateful for what we have. You and I are huggers, and that's the day I can't wait for, is that when we're all through this and I can just hug everyone again.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, you take hugging away from an Italian, from an Indian. It's awkward. How do we say hello? what are you, I love that, you know, you talk about your house being, so you're no Fridays, no Saturday nights. So you've got more time at home than you have in at least 20 years. And so, yeah, doing things around the house, cleaning, exercising, making more meals. Dino, what are you learning about, what have you learned about yourself kind of in this period now that you have more time to yourself?
Uh, I'm learning that, like, like, it's funny because you see a lot of these memes, people being like, "Oh, I'm going to get to this when I have time. When I have time, I'm going to get to this," and no
Yeah.
one ever gets to it, sort of thing like that. And I'm finding that, like, I have time. I've done it. I've gone out and I've done everything that, like, clean my garage, clean my house from top to bottom. I've always had, being with the football team, I've always had kids living in my house to help them out, give them cheap rent, give them a cheap option. And it's
Yep.
ironic, for the first time in 13 years, I'm living by myself. And the last kid moved out like a month before COVID started.
Wow.
And it's just like, oh, this is a perfect time to be all alone, right? Like, man, I couldn't have had one of these kids living here during this. But I'm taking that time to get the things done that you need to get done. So, like, not spending a lot of time at the Commodore because we're closed. We don't
Sure.
see it be worth it. But, like, the first couple of weeks, it was going in, trying to figure out getting all the employees their ROEs so they could apply for the funding. Because that was my biggest concern about shutting down. Chris and I, like, we'll weather the storm. We'll be okay. But we have a lot of employees that depend on that paycheck. And I'm worried about them. I'm worried about, like, what are they going to do when they're not making that money? And the government of Canada stepped up with the CRB and all these different
Sure.
funding options, and it's been fantastic to help small business. But I'm also talking to a lot of business owners that are like, hey, like, business wasn't great prior to this, and are we going to survive it? Is it even worth surviving? The one ironic thing that I found out is I was talking to a locksmith who told me that he's changing a lot of locks on a lot of businesses right now because people were like, hey man, we weren't surviving well. We can't survive being shut down for 2 or 3 months. We might as well give up the location right now.
Yep. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And I think for people involved, yeah, like yourself, small business owners, entrepreneurs, there's that empathy, right? That goes out to the other businesses and people that are in, I mean, you're involved in the association. So, and again, just being a member of the community in Kamloops specifically, that, yeah, you have, I think there's a, an element of having your neighbors back, that real, it's the one thing that I've always felt spending time in Kamloops, and why it'll always be a place that I'll have a ton of love for, is I felt a part of something. I think at some level, we all sort of, desire to be a part of something greater than us and be a part of a particular community. And I'll say, because I've lived in a couple of different places in Canada now, that Kamloops has been the only place that I've lived where, what's population, about 90,000? I always want to call it like over
It's
100.
close to about 100 because of the
Yeah.
university. So
Yeah. When I was growing up, we started coming out there. I mean, yeah, probably 25K. Like, it was a much smaller town. TRU comes in, and it seems like the resident population blows up. Anyhow, even within all of that, I think what I feel from all the friends that I have in Kamloops is that they truly give a shit about the others in their community. And so, yeah, from a business perspective, yeah, no exception there, right? I mean, it's got to be tough. It's got to be really tough to be around those people that are probably your friends, people that you've known for a very long time, struggling through kind of whether the lights are going to stay on or whether they're going to, permanently lock the doors because they just don't have a chance. Or they just, it's unlikely that they'll succeed through it. Hey, who do you think, what do you think it's going to take, or who do you think is going to succeed when it comes to small business specifically? Like, what are the key traits, when we look back at this in time to come? What were those small businesses that made it through? What were they paying attention to? Do you know, what were they doing?
I think a big thing is going to be work ethic. If you were someone that didn't really have a strong work ethic going into this, and if you don't develop it to go through this and find different ways to really work at this, then I don't think your business is going to survive. And the people that are, they're making it right now. Like, I look at, the Mitten brothers that own Mitt's Kitchen.
Yeah.
Right? Those guys are working more themselves right now than they probably ever have. They're there morning, noon, and night trying to run their restaurant, run their takeout, and do all that stuff. And like a family business like Peter's Pasta, that they're there working. Like, and that's what it's come down to, is that, if you were that business owner that wasn't spending a lot of time in your business, well, now you're going to find out, like, I need to be there right now. And I love it, because it's like, maybe, you're always at your business. Like, if you own a business, you're always there, but, like, are you always doing all the work. And now maybe you're going to come out of this and knowing, hey, you have a true appreciation for your employees and realize, hey, this is what they go through on an everyday basis. And it's a little bit heightened now because we have to deal with COVID, but we have to answer those phones and we have to do all that work. And I think it's going to be a bit of a blessing when it's all said and done, is that you're going to really appreciate your staff and what they do for you and putting in that work. But if you're not willing to work, then I don't know if you can fight through all of this, right? And the other thing is that people that were prepared for rainy days, like it was instilled in me, and like my dad tells me that I spend money like an idiot and I buy things that I don't need to buy and I go out for dinner too often and stuff like that. But he instilled in me in a young age that if you make $1, you got to put some away and you got to save it for that time when you're not going to have it. So when this is all said and done, like, am I going to be in a great financial situation? Probably not. I'm probably going to burn through some savings and have to use some credit and get the help from the government that we need. But
Sure.
We're in a better position because we saved. We were prepared. And it's amazing to me that finding out how many people just weren't ready for something like this. Like, we have so many, not just business owners, but individuals that are, they're 2 or 3 paychecks away from being insolvent. And
Sure.
And we spend outside of our means, and we spend money that we don't necessarily always have. And I've been very fortunate to make money, and I've done trips and I've bought these things, but like, I'm looking at it right now, like the first couple of weeks, I was like, oh, I'm going to do some online shopping. And I bought some stuff from Bed Bath & Beyond for the house to help organize the house. And then the other day I was on Nike and I was going to buy a bunch of stuff. And I got halfway through my shopping cart and I was like, I don't need any of this right now.
Yep.
I need to not spend money right now and put this money away. And like even the Xbox, like, it was a splurge that, I did it because I want to hang out with the boys, but do I really need to spend that money on a toy right now? But it's just one of those things that, like, you need to do something to keep yourself sane during all of this, right?
Sure. Yeah, I hear that, man. Just back to the work ethic piece. I think with owners, business leaders, I think being in the trenches is what I heard from you, which is, if you don't have that, if that's not what you've done traditionally. So if what you have not done is worked on and in your company, like at ground level, that this can be a big wake up call. So I was going to say slap in the face. But hopefully even within that, there's clarity, right? There's clarity of people available that goes, hey, you know what? Yeah, I haven't been. And look, for a guy like you, and I think that's one of the things that I respect so much about you, Dino, that, is that you are so deeply invested in your businesses, in the sense that you walk into the Commodore, and people that have been there know this, that you walk into the Commodore and you're the first face that everybody sees. Right? And no matter how busy you are, you're stopping, you're making eye contact, and you're making sure you at least acknowledge who walks in the door. And these are nights, if you haven't been there, we're talking about like a bottleneck through a couple of doors, traditional kind of restaurant, busy, night spot kind of setup. A lot of traffic in there, but there's Dino at the corner. Making it a point to connect with.
And that, like, I think that's been part of the success of our business, is that it's not just me and Chris. Like, Chris is the same way. Like, we all, like, I'm older, so I have an older demographic of people that I'm friends with, and Chris has his group of friends, and then we have great friends that we made through the Commodore that that we're still friends with to this day.
Yeah.
Right. And it's been weird. It's been 13 years, and to see where we were and how the business was ran when we first started, to see where it is now, and like, yeah, we're still there all the time out of necessity, because you need to work hard at it, and we have a plan, and maybe we don't have the greatest exit strategy plan, but we know that there's going to be a day where we can't bartend anymore. We can't actually physically work, because you need to have that new person that's going to be the face of your business. And I think what we've always done well with is finding someone else. Like, we have a great bartender for us right now, and he's the same kind of way with me. Like, he walks down the street and he can say hi to 100 people if he wants to, right? Like, it's just, he's got that, he's got a great personality, and his name is Jake Baggio, and he's a great kid.
Yeah.
And I love having someone like that work for me. And then, having a family, knowing that your employees are just not your employees, they're your friends. And that's what we've kind of built our business on.
Yep.
And like, reaching out to employees right now and just checking in on them, being like, hey, are you guys okay? Like, do you need anything? Like, what can we do to help? Like, just things like that. And it just makes it feel like once we get open again, you're really going to appreciate them, right? And you're really going to be able to, like, work with them to really grow your business, because they're devastated just as we are. Like,
Of course.
we don't have a huge staff, and they, part of it is looking forward to going to work and having a good time when you're there, right? It's
Yeah.
not work if you're having fun, right?
Culture, right? I talk about this a ton with, business owners, and then even larger organizations. It's that culture piece that starts with you and Chris, right? So no matter who it is that you bring in behind that bar with you, or in the kitchen, or, front of house staff, taking care of tables and guests, that starts with you and Chris. And yeah, my literal hat off to you, in Chris. And I think building that sustainable culture where people want to be there, those that are serving with the team, and then guests. We love coming in there because you really feel that sense of family, and what you guys have been able to create a ripple effect of through the restaurant. Same thing happening with Fiore Fresh.
Fiore Fresco, yeah. It's Chris and I were just talking about this yesterday. Is that like I haven't really, I've worked in retail here and there, but I don't really have a strong retail background. But just in talking to people and treating them like they mean something. Like we purposely, when you walk into most cannabis stores, they have their price lists, or they have their TVs with all their prices. And
sure,
we didn't do that. We didn't want to do that. We want to be able to talk to our customers and get to know them. And, what is your strain? Why are you taking this? Is this, recreational? Is this for pain? Is this for that? And we're not medicinal. Like, I can't tell them, hey, take this. It's going to make your pain go away, or whatever it is. But it's like,
sure,
I want to hear their story and explain to them, hey, this product is something that I think you would like. And people want high THC, or people want CBD because they don't want to get high, but they want to experience the benefits of it.
Sure.
And I said this a lot, that you want to get to know your customers, and you want to build up that family feeling in this as well, because it's you want to have people come back, and we've been open 2 weeks and we already have some repeat customers. They're like, man, I like your shop. I like how clean it is. I like how you guys talk to us. It's just how we need to do it. And I think the three of us are doing a great job of, and it's a bit of a blessing, because I couldn't imagine trying to run this business at the same time, and learning. It's allowed me to learn more and to figure, because I'm not a big cannabis guy.
Sure.
I've dabbled and here and there and done stuff or whatever it is, but I don't, it's not something I do every day. I've dabbled with some edibles now, and finding some different CBD oils and gels and stuff like that. But it's talking to customers and finding out, hey, one thing we say is hey, let me know what you think of that product, because when you come back, I want feedback on it so I can tell it to somebody else if they're going to like it, or what this is going to be like. Right?
Yep. That's got to be a lot of fun, for, I don't know, old dogs like us to be introduced to new games, and get to learn. Right. And in your cool thing is your industry, that particular industry, is one that, obviously it's just been less than a couple of years since we've gone legal in Canada, but it's exciting. It's fresh, it's new. And so I think it already comes with a buzz. So as you're saying, it might not be your traditional pot smoker that comes in looking for products, but it's also your mom's. My wife uses CBD regularly. Never smoked a joint in her life, never inhaled, the flower of marijuana for the high, the THC, but uses CBD regularly. She now will go in when she has to reload on a CBD product and walk into a dispensary. The first thing she'll say when she comes out, I'm usually waiting in the car with the boys, is she will talk about her experience. So not about the price point, not about what it is that she walked out with, but she wants to talk about how welcoming or how inviting the people were that she, that she dealt with inside of the store, because that creates that experience. And then we'll either bring you back because you've got a positive thought or a positive experience to attach to getting your product. But all to say, that's got to be a lot of fun learning. Sort of.
It's amazing, because I always say that you learn in business, you're learning something new every day. And there isn't a lot of days where you're learning 3 or 4 things, but you find, it's always awesome to find something new. So in the restaurant industry, people are oh, everything. And I'm like, no, I don't. There's innovative things that new people are doing. There's different ways to change your business. And the same thing with nightclubs and all this different stuff. What's amazing to me is with this new business is I'm learning 10 things a day of how to do things. And it's just it's reinvigorated that entrepreneurial spirit of wanting to do different things and learning. And I don't know if I could learn in a traditional classroom again. I don't know if I could go back to school and sit in a room and learn, but I love like I was watching webinars on how to run our POS system and like learning that kind of stuff. And like, it helps you just stay fresh and like do new things. And
Sure.
I think that like, that's the thing is that, you gotta get busy doing, or you're just going to like fall away. You know what I mean? Like you have to do things. And even right now, like we need to be doing, yeah, we're doing it all by ourselves, but at least we're doing it. Right. And like working out this morning, right? Like, the first couple of weeks I was like, wow, this is going to end. I'll be okay. I'll go back to the gym. I'll be fine, sort of thing like that. And then after a while you realize, man, this isn't going away anytime soon. So what am I going to do for workout? What can I do at home? Well, I don't have weights, but like my trainer, Greg Kazoris, has been posting workouts that you can do online, and other gyms are doing that too. And yoga studios and all these different things. And it's like, take the time, watch it. It's not that you don't need weights for it. It's just body weight stuff. Let's just do it. And it's almost like learning a new way to work out. And maybe it's going to be better for me than what I've traditionally done. Right.
Sure. That's cool. So I hear, get innovative, get creative, be willing to learn at all times, but especially now, whether new line of business and you've had to pivot the way that you approach your client base, or it's, finding ways to work out at home, stay active. Maybe I don't need the weights, but it's the willingness is what I'm hearing from you to step outside of what you've known and evolve, because if you don't, you might get left behind.
Yeah. Like I bought a mountain bike 5 years ago. Rode it for like a month and then put it in storage.
Yeah.
Today I went out, pumped up the tires, went for a bike ride. Realized that riding a real bike is a lot harder than riding a stationary bike. It'll suck, but
because there's nothing flat in Kamloops. You got to be going either up or down a hill. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, maybe should I buy a bike rack so I can drive somewhere flat and ride around that way? Maybe.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks for the time. This has been awesome. I really appreciate it. Again, I know you're a busy guy, but because of the relationship that you and I have, I know that you'd make time for us, and I think the viewers are going to love hearing the conversation. Do you know what do you want to bring home for anybody that's watching? So as a guy that is so deeply involved in the community and in the greater community, and then of course in the business community in Kamloops, what is the message? What is the call to action, if there is one?
I was lucky enough to be in circles that had great mentors, and people that are big in the community in Kamloops. But you have someone like Henry Perrell, John Pankouch, Peter McKenna, Les Considine. These guys taught me at a young age that you can be successful and you can make money and you can work, but you have to care about your community and you need to give back to your community. And I've always taken that to heart, and it's why I volunteer for all these things. And it's one thing to be successful on your own, but the sign of a true community is making sure that the entire community is doing well. And that's part of giving back to the hospital and giving back to the business association and coaching and volunteering for sports, because sports gave me so much. I wasn't the greatest athlete, but my best friends come from the sporting world, and the ability to go out and be 43 years old and still be playing soccer. Like, I'm not a great soccer player, but I hang out with good guys and we have fun, and it's more about hanging out with that group of guys than it is about actually playing the game.
Yeah.
And I love all that. And I think that coming out of this, there's going to be a lot of people struggling. And I think that what we need to do is get that sense of community and say, hey, we're going to be here for everyone, and be it financially, be it, just being an ear for someone to listen to, like making a donation. Like I'm a guy, like I'm a dinosaur, and that, like, I like reading my newspaper every day. Well, there's one local newspaper in Kamloops and they're struggling because they're not getting the advertising dollars. So I made a donation, and I would appreciate everyone else to make a donation to the paper so that we can keep, having that source, because, Twitter and all these different social media things are great, but you need to have that local news source. And as much as the world has changed, I read the newspaper every time it comes out. I try and read it that morning when I'm having breakfast, and I watch the local, like the Kamloops CFJC news every night, just to know what's going on in my community and to keep myself up to date on what's going on. And I think that more people need to care about their community and figure out a way that they can give back in our community. And I think that's one of the biggest things I've seen is the sharing and the caring that everyone is doing through all this. And people that maybe were, they're not takeout people, but they're getting takeout from restaurants to help support these restaurants and help them evolve and survive through all of this.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love it because I think it's the piece that I hope is corrected about our behavior and the way that we, not just the way that we consume, but how it is that we interact as a smaller communities, and how we respect our neighbors and what considerations we're making when it comes to supporting local initiatives. And so I think a huge part of why I have this love for Kamloops is it still has that look, and I see Kamloops through your lens for the most part, right? And your lens is one that you just described, which is, hey, I'm all in for those that are trying to make this community a better place for all of us to be. But then we all have a greater responsibility. The broader community has a greater responsibility to also do that for one another, you know, without needing the encouragement of a newspaper or of a, you know, of the local news channel. But yeah, that's the ripple effect that I hope sort of carries throughout the world that we live in, you know. And I think the best way to start that, and the only way that we have to start that, is in our own backyard. So Dino, thanks, brother. I
Thanks
appreciate
for
the time.
having me.
We'd go
Yeah,
on forever. Yeah, my pleasure. Let's hop back on maybe in the next few weeks and we can talk about how things have evolved and we can look at a different topic. But I think you've left a ton of value for us. I'm super grateful. Hang in there. Enjoy the day. We'll be in touch soon. All right,
thanks,
Tino.
brother.
Take
See you
care,
soon.
bro.